Hi, this is Damien from mdgear.com. I'm outside today. It's in December. It's like mid-December, and it's just gorgeous out today. The AT Pro is still a fantastic machine for the price. It kicks the butt of anything under $800, $900. So it's a terrific price. I really recommend the AT Pro as your first detector because there's a basic mode and then you can go into the Pro mode, and I'll show you guys that in a little bit. I know it's a bit pricey to start out at about $550 or so if you get it from a dealer. You can get them used as well for a little over $4. So if you're thinking about getting, you know, the Ace 250 or the Ace 350 or the Fisher F4 or F2, and you've got a budget of about, you know, $200, where most people start out in metal detecting, try to save up and get a used AT Pro from a dealer for around $4, or a new one for around $550 or so. I'll put a link to it in my blog entry, so if you guys want to buy through my links, it helps me make a little bit of affiliate money to buy more stuff to review. When you buy it, you get a instruction booklet and you get a DVD. When you buy the AT Pro, definitely check out the DVD. You want to listen to Garrett's instructions on how to set up the machine and how to dig a plug and properly search with it. So it's good stuff to definitely read the manual and check out the DVD that Garrett sends along with it. So here's the AT Pro. Right there. It comes with a set of headphones, which you don't get with some of the cheaper detectors. You have to spend another $25 or so to get a pair of headphones with the cheaper detectors. And then it's got some great cam locks to keep it sturdy. So if you're buying a used AT Pro, make sure it's got these cam locks on it. They added that in later years to keep the wobble to a minimum on the shaft. When you get the AT Pro, as I said, it comes with headphones, and it typically comes with this 8.5 by 11 coil. And coil cover, I believe, comes with it. Make sure you always get a coil cover for your coils. It definitely extends the life of your coils. I have not used this much. It's pretty much brand new because not long after I got my AT Pro, I got the 5x8 coil. I dig in a lot of trashy yards. It's really great to have the 5x8 for a very trashy yard to help with trash separation. This is also a lighter coil than the 8.5 by 11, so it's going to make the machine a little bit lighter. It's great for water hunting. So when you buy a detector, you're just going to know that you're probably going to get a standard size coil with it. Typically when you get a detector, it's going to come with sort of a all-terrain coil like this, the 8.5 by 11. But if you do hunt a lot of trash, you want to pick up a smaller 5x8. Or if you really want to sniper it up, you can get this. This is the Garrett sniper coil for the AT Pro. The AT Pro's got some funky connectors for the headphones and for the coils. It's kind of a weird, funky connector, as you can see. So it doesn't take standard headphones unless you pay for the Garrett headphone adapter. Then you can plug any headphone in you want. You can plug in some wireless solutions. I think there's a company next year coming out with some wireless headphones to connect with the AT Pro. Once you have wireless headphones, it's really nice not to have that yank as you set the detector down kind of on your head, or have to pull your headphones off every time you start digging. This is the coil you'll get with it. This is a coil I highly recommend if you're doing trash. And if you're getting specific up to little tight spaces and close to a fence and stuff, and you want to get closer to metal objects and detect than you could with the bigger coils, you can pick up this little sniper. So I borrowed this from Bob to check out, and I've had it for like 2 seasons. I need to get this back to him, so I'm going to hunt a bit in my yard in places that a larger coil couldn't reach today. While I'm doing that, I'm going to review the AT Pro for you. You know, I haven't put the standard back on since I put the 5x8 on this machine. It's a terrific coil. It goes deep, maybe not quite as deep as the 8.5 by 11, but I dug a 50-cent piece at like 9 or so inches or 10 inches. I know that's kind of a big target, but this gets relatively deep. I have not taken this off my detector. It's that awesome of a coil, and it always depends on what type of areas you hunt in. If you're in trashy areas a lot, you're going to want a small coil. If you're hunting a field or an area that doesn't have that much trash in the ground, you're going to want a larger coil. And for the larger coil, I highly recommend either the Nell Storm or the Nell Tornado. Nell makes really fantastic coils. They're about 200 bucks. If you put a Nell Storm at the end of this AT Pro, it is ridiculously deep and ridiculously effective. Quick shout out to the Hoover boys. Kurt Franz and his boys use Fisher and Garrett AT Pros, and they all have Nell coils on the bottom of them. So if you definitely want a larger upgrade of a coil, Garrett doesn't make a larger coil. The 8.5 by 11 is as large as they make. They do make smaller. I'll handhold for a minute out of the sun. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. So it's a plastic lock that you unscrew to change coils. I do have a lower rod that I bought with this 5 by 8. I was thinking that I could just swap out the lower rod when I change coils, but actually it's a bit hard to take that cam lock off, so it's probably just easier to loosen those little coil bolts. When you put a coil on, you want to cross over top of your detector shaft, lower rod there, and then you want to get the coil up and out of the way of the coil as quick as possible. So I recommend putting a little bit of Velcro around there to keep it up and off your coil. You don't want to have a bunch of cable wrapped around the lower part of the rod there. And then the other thing you want to do is wrap it relatively tightly around your shaft so that you don't have interference from a lot of coil wobble. I have adjusted this a little bit shorter because a friend of mine was using it last, and so the cable is not quite as tight as I usually have it wrapped. So when you do get this out of the box that I showed, you have to attach the back cuff here with just that little bolt there. It's pretty easy to attach the two sides of the arm cuff. The other thing you have to do is attach the control box with these little screws that you see on the bottom here. Make sure that you don't over tighten this. So there's the two screws at the bottom there that attach to the control box. See that little clip that I have stuck on one of the screws? That's the adapter you get with the Garrett headphone adapter, so you can plug in other headphones, and I just left it on there so that I can use the adapter and tuck it into that little clip whenever I want to. So make sure you don't over tighten these bolts. There has been some problems that people have faced where this control box kind of breaks off after a while. You get 2 years, I believe, warranty with Garrett. So you want to just kind of hold in this mode button for a second for power. And now we're on. There's basically 6 modes. I'm going to go through everything on the control box. Hopefully you guys can see that without too much interference there. There's a little bit of glare on the screen. You've got 6 modes there, and you then, once you hold this in for power, you click this for the different modes. It's either on Pro or Standard. See that at the top? You've got Custom and Coins and Zero in both modes, Pro and Standard. You want to start out learning the detector on Standard. If you're new to the Garrett, I actually came from the Ace 250, so being on Standard mode is a lot like having an Ace 250. Once you get a chance to learn the detector on Standard mode, then you want to jump into Pro as soon as possible. Pro just has a lot more range of sounds for target identification. It really will be a much better machine in Pro. So you don't want to be on Standard mode for too long, maybe a season or maybe a couple of months while you're learning this detector. So really this is a Ace 350 or Ace 250 in this machine already, and then you can jump up to an even better machine. So that's why I recommend this as a first detector. All right, that looks pretty good there. So I'm going to start out then I'm going to go right to Pro, and I'm going to start out in Pro Zero, which a lot of people suggest. Right now in Custom and in Coin modes, there's an iron disc going on here that's 35, and you can set that lower or higher with this iron disc button. That's basically masking out everything from 0 up to 34 on the screen which will be iron in the ground, so you don't want to hear that. So you can lower that if you're looking for relics and you want to hear everything. That's what 0 is. So if you go one more mode button, then I have 0 iron discrimination, so I'm going to hear everything across the entire spectrum. On the screen here then, on the left, you change from Pro to Standard. You've got 3 different modes on each setting. There's your ID number. That's what you're hearing. Up here, as you can see, I've got iron, gold rings, silver, and it's pinging under what you're going to find. So bottle cap's going to be there, nickel's going to be there, just ping there for a second, quarter dime, etc. Down here is your sensitivity. I've got it all the way up. So if you feel like you're getting some interference from mineralization in the ground or local or electricity wires nearby, you can turn that sensitivity down a little bit. For instance, if you're going to go on the beach, saltwater beach, this isn't the greatest detector for saltwater beach, but this sucker is waterproof to 10 feet, so it's wonderful water hunter, creeks and lakes and the beach. It does suffer a bit on saltwater beaches, so you might have to turn that sensitivity down a little bit. There's your battery indicator, and then finally on your right there's your depth meter to kind of tell you how deep your target is as you're swinging over it. We'll go over the buttons now. So hold that in to turn it on, press it to change through the 6 different modes. Turn up and down your iron disc. So in Pro 0, I can even get up my iron disc a little bit too. Iron audio is cool. You turn it on, you can hear the grunts and pops of iron in the ground if you actually want to listen to that. Pinpoint and frequency adjust is the other button. If you say that stick down there is your target, see the stick? You want to start out off the target when you're listening and you're hearing something good, and hold down the pinpoint button and your meter will actually go up. See, there actually is a little target under there. See that? So as I move forward and back, the little meter goes up, and when it's all the way at the top, you're right above center coil. If I hold this down for a second and hit the sensitivity button, I can go into 3 different frequencies, F1, F2, and F3, which is really fantastic if you've got a little bit of interference from electricity wires or another ACE 250 or another AT Pro nearby you. You can adjust the frequency to quiet it up a bit. The other thing, you might have a pinpointer that is causing interference with your detector, so you can shift the frequency a little bit to do that. Alright, so sensitivity we covered. That's basically how much power is being emitted out of the bottom of the coil. Eliminate is cool. So if I'm coming in, I can notch. Okay, so notch takes you across the different targets up here. Suppose I don't want to hear any nickels. I'm just not into nickels there. I can notch over to 5 cent and I can hit the eliminate button and it'll take out that. Supposing I want to go up to the top a little bit, I suppose I just want to eliminate everything under a certain, say 70, which isn't totally recommended because gold coins can be, and gold jewelry can be pull tabs. But anything you want to eliminate in these modes, you can hit the eliminate button once you notch over, turn it back on like that. So you use the notch disc and eliminate to mask out and not hear anything along the spectrum. I'm in Pro 0 right now, so everything's on. But if you see, if I go to coin mode, go down to Pro and coins, it's already taking out a couple of things here and one thing down there to try to get me just coins. This is not going to be good for jewelry, but I'm also not going to hear pull tabs. But if you mask out pull tabs, you might be masking out some gold. So see, it says that right there, rings and gold. But that's what coins does. It puts you in that mode. Custom lets you go in and set what you want. Now it is going to remember these settings for, say, custom when you turn it off. So when you come back on, you're going to be back in custom mode, which is really cool. Lastly is ground balance. What makes the AT Pro shine over, say, the ACE 250 or the ACE 350? No, wait, 350 has ground balance, I think. I can't remember. I don't think 350 has ground balance. One of the things that makes this detector shine over cheaper detectors is the fact that it's got ground balance. So basically what you want to do is, there's the ground balance button, if my camera will focus there. You hold down the ground balance, and when you're not over top of any metal, so you want to come along and find a place where you're not hitting any metal, and you hold the ground balance down and you pump the coil up and down, and it teaches the coil what type of soil, teaches the detector what type of soil you're hunting, and just makes the detector shine on that type of soil situation that you're at. And depending on where you live, the north or the south, the east and the west, there's different kinds of soil. Certain soils are sandier, certain soils are have less minerals or more minerals in them. So that's what really makes this work better, and you want to always ground balance whenever you go out to hunt. So I think I covered everything on the control panel here. We've got just a double check. Hold this down for power, hit it again, tap it for different modes. You've got your iron disc that you can turn up to eliminate the sound of iron there. Your pinpoint button, which also doubles as a frequency adjust. So you hold that down and hit sensitivity to change frequencies. Shift frequencies, really. You're about the same frequency. I think it's, I want to say it's like 14, but I'll double check that. The AT Gold runs a little bit of a higher frequency. That's why people like it. Higher frequencies tend to work better with coin size and small size objects, like, you know, gold flakes and nuggets and coins. So some people will use the AT Gold. The cool thing about the AT Gold is it comes with the 5x8. So if you're definitely a trash hunter and you're a coin hunter and a little bit of gold hunter, the Ace Gold runs at a slightly higher frequency and is a little bit better on small objects. Low frequencies are better for large objects and artifacts. High frequencies are ideal for small coins and such. Alright, we talked about sensitivity. I usually run that kind of max or close to max. Notch, you can notch out a target so you don't have to hear it. Eliminate is the button you hit to notch out the target. So as I'm moving around, I can hit eliminate like that. I can eliminate those things or put them back. As you're detecting, you got a depth meter. See, there's a depth meter. It's seeing something at 8 inches down there. This goes deeper than the Ace 250 and the Ace 350, I believe. I think the Ace 250 only goes up to 8 inches, so this is a deeper detector. And then you've got ground balance. Now you can also, so my ground balance is 84, you can actually manual, oh there it is, just like that. Yeah, okay, so you tap that instead of holding ground balance. Then you can manually change the ground balance a little bit. Manually putting the ground balance a couple of points under what the detector did with pumping will buy you a little bit more depth, and that's why there's the option there to do manual ground balance. There's a battery compartment at the bottom. You kind of give that a twist and then you pull it out, and then out comes the battery compartment. It takes 4 AA's. So I'm not going to pull that out right now. There's a rubber seal in there that's sealing the battery compartment and keeping the batteries dry in this box, and keeping everything dry in this box. You want to pick up a little silicate gel from your detector store or from the internet or whatever, and just put a little bit of gel, silicate gel, around that rubber O-ring from time to time if you're going to be doing water hunting. If you want to extend this, let's talk about extending this for a second, because it's a little bit short for me right now. You want to loosen this cam lock a little bit. I'm going to loosen that up till it's loose, and then you just come in here and pinch this and pull till it pops into the next one down. And that's how you put the AT Pro together. You're going to have to assemble that lower rod in there yourself. Okay, so I'm going to tighten that cam lock back up till it's tight. Cam locks really help to keep the wobble to a minimum on this detector, so definitely you don't want to over tighten them, so just hand tighten them. You definitely, if you get a used AT Pro, make sure it's got the cam locks on there. And as I said, I go over the front of the lower rod and immediately pull it tight with a little bit of Velcro, and then I wrap the coil around the top up to the box as pretty tightly as I can. Alright, so I'm going to unscrew this. It's easy pulling this off. You just give it a little yank. Yankaroo. Ah. It has a little O-ring. See, it's got a funky plug. Thanks, Garrett. It's got a little bit of a funky plug. There's 2 little male pins and 2 little female pins there. And then it's got a little water seal. You want to put a little silicate grease on that as well if you're going to be doing a lot of water hunting. So you stick this back up, and then you've got to tighten this back on. Right. So I'm going to pull this off the coil. I'm going to undo my Velcro. Velcro there. I could just take off the lower rod to change coils, but I'm just going to loosen this little, can you guys see? Just going going to loosen either side of this plastic coil bolt here. Just unscrew that. You want to try to have a spare of these because they're plastic and they might break on you. So you lose that to over tightening or something, you're going to want to have a spare. So keep a spare in your bag. You can get these from Garrett pretty cheap. There's the 5x8. Love it. Absolutely love the 5x8. You can work wonders with the 8.5x11 coil that the AT Pro comes with, but if you're going to use it in different conditions like trashy soil or in a large field where you want maximum depth, get yourself the 5x8 and get yourself the Nell Storm. Check out the Rapu video I did if you want to cut the cord from having to be wired to your detector. And I'll write a little thing about who's coming out with a wireless headphone for the AT Pro. I'm gonna wrap this up then. My review of the AT Pro. This is Damien for MD Gear. Check out mdgear.com or metaldetectinggear.com if that's easier for you to remember. I got lots of good resources and a blog and a forum and all kinds of links that'll help with metal detecting. As always, thanks for watching. Have a great day.